Hashem that we're able to learn. Morning, today. Because of our learning, we should have the base of Mikdash immediately. And for Shlema for Yechiel Nassim ben Sarah, Aaron David Alevi ben Menucha Lester, and Avram Rafael ben Sarah. Holding about 8 lines from the bottom, 9 lines from the bottom, on 15b, Tesvav Amid Beis. Ashkechei Rabba Baravua Leilio. We were discussing yesterday, why did Esther invite Haman to the party? What was she thinking? Gave a bunch of different reasons. Said it was a trap. Keep your enemies close. No one should recognize that she's a Jew. They should daven better. They shouldn't say that, oh, Esther's going to save us. That they should both get killed. All types of things. So Rabba Baravua, the father-in-law of Rav Nachman, he meets Elio Navi. I'm like, come on, Chazi Esther V'Abdahachi. So he says, I was looking for you. I have a question. What was Esther thinking? Come on, Chazia. Like, which opinion did she see that she invited Haman? That she did such. Amalei, Kekula Tanai, Kekula Amirai. They're all correct. You see, people are complex, and there's a lot of motivations for everything that happens. You can't say, oh, I did it because of this, because of a million things. Okay. Yisaper lehem Haman, that's what the Medrash does. The Medrash tells us, what was Yaakov telling Esav or something. So yeah, the words were this, but the intent was this and that, and then there was so many layers of. Okay. And Haman was telling his family, his great aunt, his great wealth, and his many children, to his friends. Kamarav Banav, what were his many children? Hamarav Lamed, there were 30 children. Asara Mesu, 10 of them died. Asara Nitlo, 10 of them were hung. Those are the ones we know about. Basara Machzir al Psachim, and 10 of them are now beggars. Mechazrin al Psachim. They're going around on the doors begging. Yeah, the Gemara for some reason didn't want to say just 10 because that doesn't seem like a lot. We know that there's 10, but the Gemara says, oh, it couldn't have been just 10. 10 is not the Rav Banav, that's not like such a big deal. There was this Gerer psychologist, Atara Malach. Ever heard? She's a speaker, whatever. She talks about education and stuff. Anyway, in her speech is one of them. She says, I don't care how many children you have, whether it's 8 or 18. Like the lowest is 8, That's the options there. So, the Rabbanan Amri, the Rabbanan say, there are actually 70 that are now going around collecting. Sounds like gypsies. Sivayim Balechem Niskaru. This was Chana's prayer after she has the baby. Rama Karni Bashem, remember that? She says, Hashem does this. And then, anyway, the Sivayim, she's talking about like the life cycle. The Sivayim, those that are full, are now getting hired just to eat bread. So I'll take Sivayim Ela Shivim. There were 70 that are now asking for bread. Rami Baraba Amar Kulon Masayim B'Shmeina Habim. There's actually 208 sons. Shnemba V'Reiv Banav. And V'Reiv B'Gematria Masan. I'm sorry. Okay. Because Shnemba V'Reiv Banav. And Reiv is supposed to be 208. But the Gemara says V'Reiv B'Gematria Masan V'Arbeisa Habu. Reiv is really not 208, it's 214. Because the Reish is 200. And the base is 2. And then you have 2 vavs, which makes 12. So the Gemara says, Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, v'roiv ksiv, it's without a vav. Yeah. Yeah. You could have taken away the first vav and just say that that's a consecutive vav. It's not part of the word. Right. Okay, but it's written chaser. It's written without a vav. Okay. They joke about this Tish. The Rebbe says Elikim is gematria 86. So there was over there not a non-chassid. He says, what are you talking about? The kuf itself is over 100. The kuf itself is 100. Can't be 80. Anyway, so V'raiv is 208. That night, the king's sleep was disturbed. Amrab Tancham, Nadadash Nas Malkai Shalaylam. Here, this is what Dr. Stein told us. The king is actually referring to Hashem. What does that mean? Means he wants to save us. Rabbanan Amri Nadadu El Yainim Nadadu Tachtainim. The angels couldn't sleep. The angels are involved in something, and also the Jewish people are involved in something. The upper ones and the lower ones. Rav Amar Shnas HaMelech Achashverosh Mamish. Rav says, just read it literally. It means Achashverosh. Why? What happened? So he explains. Nafla Milsa B'daiti has something going on in his mind. Amar, Maita Kaman, the Zimte Esther, same question that Rabbi Baravua had to Eliyahu. Why did Esther invite Haman? Something's wrong. Dilma Eitza Kashakli Ilave. Who Gavral Miktali. Maybe they took counsel and to kill this fellow, referring to himself. Maybe this is a conspiracy that they want to kill Achashverosh. Hadarama Rihachi. He then says, is there anyone that loves me that would have notified me of this? So that's why maybe someone did a favor for me, but I never paid him back. Maybe that's why no one's telling me anything good here. In other words, I'm not giving credit to people that do me favors, and that's why people aren't telling me. So he wants to look through the books. So they bring the records, and they should be read. It says and they were read, and they should be read. But it sounds like they're being read on their own. How does it mean they're read on their own? So it means that they start to talk. Those, you open up those books and they start. But you might say kasav, it was found written. Now it should have said kasav. It's found that it was written, not being written. Kasav is being written. Kasav means found written. Kasav mi baile. Malamed. This teaches us Shamshai Meichek v'Gavriel Kaisav. Shamshai was an earlier scribe. What was he in the days of Kairish? That he was the one that was involved with stopping the Beis Hamikdash. Stopping the Beis Hamikdash from being rebuilt in the days of Kairish. So Shamshai is still over there a scribe, and he's reading in front of Achashverosh. We have a tradition also that Shamshai is one of the sons of Haman. And Gavriel, as he's erasing, 208 kids. So, right. So he's erasing what it's written there about Mordechai, like quickly erasing, and Gavriel is writing it back in, the angel. Amar Rabasi Darsh Rab Shila Ishkfar Tamarta. Ma kasav shalamata. Maksav shalamata, just like the writing now down here, it's impossible to erase. So ksav shalamayla lekolskein, if the merits of the Jewish people can't be erased in this world, for sure in heaven, the merits of the Jewish people are being counted. They can't be erased. Nothing was done with him. Amarava, that's what the people said. How'd it go? Nothing was done for him. So, in other words, Mordechai wasn't repaid for saving the king's life. Rava says it wasn't because they loved Mordechai that they responded to this. It was just because they hated Haman. Now, how would they know that? Yeah. They didn't know that Haman was going to get punished because of it. Yeah. I don't know. Comments over there in the.
Can it only be because if you would do something good to Mordechai, that's natural.
Could be. That's that could be.
Is this about how they did not love Mordechai but hated Haman?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, do you have a comment on that, Anna?
Yeah, there's a small comment. It says that the idea that they were not fond of Mordechai is indicated in the verse because they did not answer. Nothing of value and greatness was done with him, but rather, quote, nothing has been done for him. Essentially, they were saying that it is fitting to do something for him, but not necessarily something of value and greatness.
So whatever they do for Mordechai is going to be negative for Haman. Yeah, so that your pshat is correct. Okay. Heichen Lai. It says Haman was there, that he was preparing the gallows, that he was preparing for him, the pronoun him. Tana Lai Heichen. It was taught in the Brisa that he was actually preparing it for himself, because in the end he was going to be hung on it. No, he was going to get punished and hung on the same gallows that he prepared for Mordechai. Mordechai, and do this to Mordechai. Manu Mordechai. This is like we could call this denial. Haman says, which Mordechai are you referring to? He says Mordechai should get dressed up in the king's clothes and ride on the king's horse with the crown on. He says, which Mordechai? Amalei HaYehudi, the Jewish one. Amalei Tuva Mordechai Yekabiyudai. There's a lot of Mordechais amongst the Jews. Amalei HaYesh B'Shar HaMelech says, no, the one that's sitting in the gate of the king by the court. Amalei, so Haman says, Sagali B'Chad Diskarta. Don't you think it would be enough just to give him one village and over there he'll collect tax? That would be a good reward. Yeah, and all of a sudden now he's switching what the reward should be. Inami B'Chad Nara, maybe you should just give him one river. You should collect the tolls by one river. Amalei Hanami Havle. Achashverosh says, you're right, give him that also. That's Al Tapel Davar Mikol Asher Dibarta. Don't take away anything from what you spoke. It means those extra things that you were suggesting that he should also get. So Haman takes the garment, the clothing, and the horse. He goes, he sees that the yeshiva is open, the rabbis are sitting and learning. He's showing him how to do kmitza. Showing kmitza is what you do with the flour and the oil. You use 3 fingers, and then you have to brush off the top and the bottom. Why is he showing him kmitza? Because they were learning then what the Omer, because it was the 16th day of Nisan, and that day would have been the Karban Omer in the Beis Hamikdash. So he's showing them the halachas of the Karban Omer. So even the Chazye Mordechai the Apik Lekabla, Mordechai sees Haman's coming. The Susei Miyached Biyadei. Is it Susei Miyached? I'm not sure what the Miyached is. Meichad. What is Meichad? Maybe it means the important one. The biyade in his hand. Mirtas. So Mordechai gets very.
Mechad.
Mechad means the reins. What is in the bowl there?
Mordechai saw him coming toward him with his horse, reins held in his hands.
Oh, horse reins. So mechad is the reins.
Horse's reins.
What does that? How does that mean reins?
It's like
Okay.
the rope.
So Mirtas, Mordechai gets afraid. Amalul Rabbanan, he tells the rabbis, "Hi Rishia lemiktal nafshoikas. He's coming to kill me. Zilumikamei, quickly, like go away. You shouldn't get caught in with his cold, get burnt by him." He tells the rabbis, I'm in trouble. You guys go and hide. But he shaita at that moment. Nisatif Mordechai wraps himself in his talis. And he gets up to daven. So Asa Haman v'Yasav le'Kamayo. Haman comes and he sits in the yeshiva. Sits down like a yeshiva bacher. Yeah, he must have stuck out, especially with his Hamantash hat. And he's there like prolonged. Adesalik Mordechai letzleise until Mordechai finishes his davening. Said nice long Shemona Esrei. Probably. Amalei b'mayaskisu. He starts talking to the bachrim, to the yeshiva students. What are you learning? Amalei, they're telling him. Yeah, apparently they didn't leave. Yeah. So he says, "What are you learning?" Amalei, they tell him, "Bisman Beis Hamikdash Kayam, when the Beis Hamikdash was around, Manda Manadav Mincha, Maisi Male Komtei the Sulta, he would take a full kmitza. If someone would give a meal offering, it would take a full kmitza, and that would be an atonement for him."
They not know who was home.
Yeah, they know it's Haman.
Wow.
And they're answering him just what they're doing.
More than that, Haman was scared. They were.
Uh-huh.
I mean, the Mordechai was scared, but not Haman.
And not the students.
Yeah.
They had betachan. So, and they're just answering like with like nothing. Amar lahu. So he says to them, "Asa mali kumti kimcha didchu." Your scoopful of flour that's in your fist, v'dachi asar alfi kikri kaspa has just pushed away 10,000 talents of silver of mine. As Haman had paid for the Jews, and now it appears that he's losing it. He hasn't lost it yet, but that's what it appears to him. Amarlei, and now it sounds like Mordechai is finished davening. He says, "Russia, you wicked one, Eved shekana nechasim, Eved lemi nechasim lemi. If you bought the Jews, but you're a slave." Remember, Haman was a slave to Mordechai because he didn't have bread, so he sold himself. He said, if a slave acquires something, who owns it? Who owns the slave and who owns what he bought? Amalei. So Haman says, "Okay, stop this. Kum levashani, go dress up in these hanimani, in these clothing. Rechav haisusa, right on the source. The boilach malka that the king has required from you. Amalei lo yechilna, I can't. Adailina lebeibani, I need to go to the bath. Beshkalamazi, I have to cut my hair. I can't. I can't put on the king's clothes while I'm like this. I didn't bathe.
Because he used to be a barber. He was like,
So Shadra Esther, now Esther has this all planned out. She had closed the shops that day, so there were no house attendants, and there were also no umni. There were no any uman as a craftsman, but basically there was no barbers there either. If they closed all the shops, so Haman has to go into the bathhouse. It's probably a job to heat it up, to put the wood under, get the towels and arrange the bathhouse attendant. Chlorine level, right?
no, not that. More.
The Azul Vaisi Zuzami base, he goes, he gets the scissors from his house. The Kashakal Bay Mazi, and he gives him a haircut. Badi the Kashakal Ingid. While he's giving him a haircut, he gets injured. Vietnach. and he gives a krecht. Says, ouch. Amalei, Amaika mitnach, what are you kvetching about? Amalei, Gavra, Davechoshev le Lamalka, Mikula Raver Venui, Vahashta Lishavye Balani Vesapar. I was so important to the king, and now look at me, I'm a bath house attendant and I'm a barber. Amalei Rasha, you wicked one, Valav Sapar Shel Kfar Kartsum Hayisa. You were a barber. Weren't you the barber before? Tana Haman Sapar Shel Kfar Kartsum Haya Esmer Shtaim Shana. We have a brisa that says that Haman was a barber for 22 years in Kfar Kartsum. Okay. That's a lot of schmoozing. Okay.
There's the movie Charlie Chaplin, Great Dictator, where Hitler and the barber are mixed up.
Oh yeah.
And it's a puppet. Maybe they got it from here.
I have to look that up. That's before my time. Okay. Basar de Shaklino Lamazie, after he took his hair, that means he gave him a haircut. Lavshino Lamane, and he dressed him in the royal clothes. Amalei Sak Barachav. He says, get up and ride. Get up on the horse. Amalei Layachilna, I can't get up. The Klisha Cheloi Mimei Tanisa, I'm weak because I was fasting. I'm fasting for 3 days. I can't get up. So Haman bends down, Vesalik, and he gets up. Mordechai is going to step on his back to get up onto the horse. You have to jump up on the horse. Kisalik, as he's getting up, but he gave Haman a kick. He's stepping on his back. Amalei, so Haman says, like Sivlachu, doesn't it say in your Torah, you shouldn't rejoice when your enemy falls? Yeah, he's quoting in the Tanakh.
Yeah.
The Haman, Amalei, Hani Milibi Yisrael. He says that's only with Jewish enemies. Aval b'ditchu, but with you, Ksiv, Batal b'misei metidrich, you'll step on their altars. Okay. Vayikra lefanav, he calls before him. Kachi yesalish. So should be done to the man Hashem Melech Chavetz Bikari, that Hashem wants to that the king wants to honor him. Yavinakit vazil b'shvila de Haman, as he's going on the path on the street of the house of Haman. Chazisi brati the kaimeigra, the daughter, Haman's daughter, saw she was on the roof. Sabra, she thinks, Hai derachiv, the one that's riding, is Avua, and that must be her father. V'hai demiske kamei, and the one that's leading in front, that must be Mordechai. So Shakli atzisa, the base sakise. She takes atzisa is a clay pot. Utzitz is a chamber pot, but utzitz was like a flower pot. It was also an utzitz, like utzitz nakov, utzitz sheinu. Remember those terms. And she throws it on her head, on the head of her father. Dolieni, she looks up. She sees that it was her father. Nafla mi'igra la'ara. She falls off the roof, from the roof to the ground. The mason, she dies. That Mordechai returns to the king's gate. Amar Rav Sheisha sheshav l'sakei l'tanisai. Shara Melech, I guess, means Hashem. He goes back to his fasting and his sackcloth. And Haman is nidchaf. Nidchaf sounds like pushed to his house, mourning and chafui reish, and like covered head. Avel, why is he mourning? Albitai, because his daughter died. The chafui reish al she'iralai, on for in his head's covered. Then what happened to him? I don't know if that means because the chamber pot's on him, or chafui reish just means he's sad about the events. Yeah.
That was full of filth.
Okay. Oh, fui. Fui. That's the Yiddish. Fui.
Good that he recognized his daughter, though. She wanted his sons, how many daughters?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Maybe he only had one daughter. Yeah. It's interesting how the Gemara sort of makes you feel bad for Haman during this story. It's a little surprising. That's a good novel. Doesn't just make like one-sided, like,
The daughter has no name.
right? Well,
200 kids, come on.
Right. 200 sons.
Who, Haman is 10 of his sons were hung?
Daughter 1, daughter 2.
I guess his daughter is,
right, it doesn't tell us.
44.
but he had,
It doesn't say any, and it says, it sounds like he has a very nice family. You know, his family is nice. That was the point when we had that. He only had one thing that was bothering. Everything else was good. He had really like, it was,
yeah.
at least to him, they were a nice family. And we judge everyone by how they behave towards Jews. So we won't say they're nice, but in his circle, they were. Haman speaks to Zeresh, his wife, and all his friends, because it says afterwards, his advisors tell him, he's not speaking. He says he's speaking to his friends, and then all of a sudden these wise men show up. Rabbi Yochanan says, anyone that says something intelligent, even by the nations, nikra chacham, chachma bagayim tamen, right? The wisdom they have. This is what they're telling him. If Mordechai is a Jew or from the Jewish descent, then you're not going to be able to win.
Did you know that Mordechai was Jewish?
Well, it goes like this. Amrulay, what they really told him is like this. Imishar shvatim kasi yechaltalei. If he comes from the other tribes, then you stand a chance. However, Imishevet Yehuda Binyamin V'Ephraim Menashe le yechaltalei. If he comes from one of those tribes, then you won't be able to. Why? You're not going to win him, because Yehuda diksiv yadcha b'refevecha. By Yehuda it says, by the blessing of Yaakov, it says your hand is on the neck of your enemy. Yeah, his family, the whole family knew the. They would sit down at dinner. They would discuss the Tanakh. Yeah. Einach. From the other ones, before Ephraim and Benjamin and Manasseh, you awaken your strength. It's a pasuk in Tehillim. So you're not going to win if he comes from one of those tribes. You will for sure fall before him. Nafal tipal. So Darash Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Loi taught this pasuk. What are these two fallings? Amrulai, they told him, the nation that you're dealing with, the Jewish people, they're compared to the dirt on the ground, they're compared to the stars. In Yarden, when they go down, Yarden ad Afar, they go down to the dirt. When they go up to the stars. So Nafal Tipal, you'll fall from the stars and you'll fall from the dirt. That's what it sounds like. You'll fall before them. Oh no, that was something else.
When they descend to the dust.
They descend to the dust, and when they go up, they rise to the stars. And Haman's going to fall before both of those.
Maybe from and to. In other words, the falling from the stars will get me all the way how far. And how far is it going to be? It's going to be down to
Let me see if that's the shot.
Taking the action.
He's not explaining. He says he's an Eved, he's a slave to Mordechai. Mordechai goes up. It's Mordechai that's being raised. So it's in relative to Mordechai. That's what we're saying, that Haman is falling.
So, yeah.
So it is. So it is from how far?
No,
That's
so
just one.
Haman is now a servant of Mordechai. He's on the dirt, and then Mordechai goes up to the stars, and that's considered that Haman has fallen because it's in relative to Mordechai's level.
Case of Yaakov.
Okay. Nafal Tipal, right. Visarisi Amelech Higiu. The messengers of the king came by eunuchs. That's right. Vayavhilu, and they hurried. This tells us that they brought him with confusion. That means he wasn't able to take a bath before he got there to shower up because he just had the chamber pot poured on him. Now this is Esther talking at the party. I and my nation have been sold. She said like this. She said that if we would have been sold into slavery and the king would have gotten the money, I wouldn't be complaining because what we would be going through and versus what the benefit to the king, I would accept that. Now, Amralai, she said to him,
About the fact that she did a second party.
yeah, the Gemara just skipped that.
Take that as
Yeah,
a
yeah.
Good ploy.
In between the two parties, that's when he has the dream. Not the dream, that's when he can't sleep. That's when Amralai, she said to him, Tsar zeh. We're darshaning this pasuk. This pain, referring to Haman, Eina Sheva b'nezek HaMelech, is not worth the damage to the king. Ikniba bevashti v'katla. He was jealous of Vashti and had her killed. Hashti ikni b'didi. Now he's jealous of me. He wants to kill me. Vayomer HaMelech Achashverosh vayomer Esther Malka. The king Achashverosh says, and he says to Esther the queen, Vayomer lamali. Why did it say twice Vayomer? Amar Rabavo b'tchila ali de Turgaman. First, he didn't talk to Esther directly. He lived with her, but he wouldn't talk to her. Why? Because she wasn't royalty, so he couldn't talk to her. Even the Amrale, once she said to her, "Midabei Sholkas," that she comes from the house of Shaul. She's of royal descent, yeah, from a different kingdom, but royal descent, royalty. Miad vayermel Esther Malka. Then he's ready to talk to her directly. He doesn't need a translator or a interpreter in between. That's odd. That's very odd behavior. Okay. But Tamer Esther says, this bad enemy, this wicked Haman. Yeah, what's the pshat over here? She starts to point to Achashverosh, this wicked man. But then she says, Haman that the angel pushes her hand that she should point to Haman. Yeah. Yeah, she was going to say that her husband was wicked.
He's a co-conspirator.
Right. Maybe in the excitement, you don't, it's not the pshat. Okay, Vamelech, the king, gets up in anger, etc. Vamelech shav migina sabisin. The king returns from his garden, the palace garden. Makish siva lakima. There's a comparison between the returning to getting up. Makima became just like when he got up, he was angry. Shiva became also when he returns, he's angry. The Azal Vashkach Lamalache Asharis, the Idmuleke Gabri, Vakakri Ilana de Bustane. He walks out into the garden, he sees there's construction going on. There's people there, actually angels that look like people that are pulling trees out of the garden. Amalei, Mayav Daicha, what are you doing? Amalei, the Paktina Haman. Haman told us we should pull these trees out. So that's my nice tree. Right? My tulip garden, right? Oh. That was there by Nebuchadnezzar, yeah. Right? Could be. Could be it's the Hanging Gardens.
We were in Shushan.
Yeah, that would be upsetting. What is it? What is that?
UNESCO.
Oh, okay, yeah. You can't touch them. A landmark
Same group as no connection between us and the.
in Israel. Yeah. Also Lebese. Then he returns to the to his palace. Haman Naifel Alamita. And Haman is falling on the bed. Naifel, Nafal mi baile. It shouldn't say Naifel. It should say that he fell. Amar Rabbi Lazar Malamit Sheba Malach Pilo Allah. Yeah, the angel
Yeah.
is coming pushing Haman onto Esther. Amar Vaimi Besa Vaimi Bra says, woe is what's happening inside, woe is what's happening to me outside. Like he can't get away from these problems. Vayomer Melach, the king says, Hagam lichbesh asamalkim in babayis. Do you want to overtake the queen with me in the house? Vayomer Charvaina. Charvaina says, Amar Rabbi Lazar, Af Charvaina Rasha Baisa Eitzahaya. Charvaina was not a good guy. He was also wicked. He was involved in this. This is Rabbi Lazar saying. Kivan Shirash Leiniskai Matzasai Miad Barach. But when he sees that Haman, he's what's it called? Opportunist, you know. He thought Haman was doing well. He was with Haman. Now he sees Haman is on the down, so he leaves him. This is talking about Vayashlech alav. He throws him from him. He doesn't have compassion. He just leaves him with the wind. He runs away with the wind. As the friends,
Fair, fickle friend.
fair weather friend.
Oh. Cold. Straight up.
The anger of the king relaxed. What are these two relax? It says shachacha. Shacha should say. One was the anger of Hashem had relaxed, and one was Achashverosh. And another pshat is that relaxed of what Haman was trying to do to Esther, and also what Haman did to Vashti. Okay, now the Gemara takes a little bit of a shift. It says, "L'kulam nasan leish chalifas smalas el binyamin nasan chamish chalifas." We're back in where is this? By Miketz by Yigash. We're in by Yigash now. He gave to all of the brothers. This is Yosef talking. Gave to them 5 garments. No, he gave them a change of clothing, and to Binyamin he gave 5 garments, 5 changes of clothing. He says, 1 second. Efshe davar shenitztar b'yesit tzaddik. Yichshal by. What was the problem with Yosef? The problem was, you have to get me one.
Yeah.
The problem was that there was jealousy, and jealousy amongst the brothers that Yaakov had made an extra garment for Yosef, and now Yosef is giving Binyamin extra 4 garments. Doesn't make sense. If that was the problem, if that was what Yaakov shouldn't have done, Yosef should not continue that. Damar Rava bar Machsia, Amar Rav Chama bar Goria, Amar Rav, Bishvil Mishkal Shnei Shloim Mela Yosef Yaakov LeYosef, because of an extra 2 sela, 2 coins worth of wool that Yaakov added to Yosef, Mishar Echav, more than his brothers, in the Skalgal Adav Yodar Avisenel Mitzrayim. The chain of events happened, and we ended up in Egypt because of those, because of that little bit of wool, the coat of many colors, right? Yeah. Amar Rabbi Binyamin bar Yefes. Rabbi Binyamin bar Yosef says, this is a student of Rabbi Yechanan. Remez Ramazloi. He's actually hinting. Sha'asid ben latzis menu shetzim milfnei hamelech bechamisha levushei malchus. He's hinting to him that he's going to have a descendant that's going to wear 5 garments of royalty. Shenemar u'mordechai yatz b'lvush malchus tcheles v'chora terezav delas achar chutz ragaman. Right? He has all of those different types of materials that he's wearing. That's how this came in over here, because we're talking about Mordechai. After this event, is all dressed in the royal clothing. Yeah, the Levush, Rabbi Mordechai Yaffe, he wrote. His name was Mordechai. He's a student of the Ramah. All his books are all names of the garments of Mordechai. Ateres Zahav, Tachrich, Tzargaman. Yes, each book we gave a different name of material. Okay. Vayipal al Tzavare Binyamin, Achiv. Yosef cries. We're continuing because we mentioned this. Yosef cries on Binyamin's shoulders. And Kama Tzavar and Havli Binyamin, how many shoulders does he have? Amar Rabbi Lazar Bachal Shnei Mikdashin Shasidin Lias Bechelka Shel Binyamin Vasid Becharav. He's crying for the 2 Beis Hamikdash that are going to be in the portion of Binyamin and in the future will be destroyed. That's what he's crying about. Sees the future. He's crying over that. Yeah. Yeah, Rashi quotes this. So Binyamin Bachal Tzavarav, Binyamin cries on his shoulders, Bachal Mishkan Shilai, Shasalias Bechelka Shel Yosef, Vasali Charav. He cries for the Mishkan in Shiloh, which is in the portion of Yosef, that will also be destroyed. Was that destroyed because of how was the Mishkan Shiloh destroyed? It was captured? Behold, your eyes see, and the eyes of Binyamin see. He says that I am Yosef and I'm alive. Amar Rabbi Lazar, Amar Lahem. He says, Kshem Shem Belibi al Binyamin Achi, Shleibim Mechirasi Kachem Belibi Aleichem. He says, you see, I don't have anything against Binyamin, of course, because he wasn't around when I was sold. So just like I don't have anything against Binyamin for selling me, this is Yosef talking, I also don't have anything against you. That the mouth is speaking to you. Kipi kain libi. As my mouth, so is my heart. I have nothing inside, no hard feelings. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. That was at the beginning, right? Says, Father, he sends like this: 10 donkeys carrying from the best of Egypt. My mitzvah Mitzrayim, what's the best of Egypt? Amar Binyamin Bar Yafas, Amar Rabbi Lazar. Binyamin Bar Yafas says the name of Rabbi Lazar. Sholach layayin yashan. Sent him old wine. Shadas kenim neichemena. Was the wine really kosher? Mavushal. It must be mavushal. That elders like old wine. The brothers go and they fall before him, before Yosef. Amar Binyamin Bar Yafas, Amar Rabbi Lazar, Hainadam Niinshi. This is what the people say. Tala beidna sagadlai. A fox, in his time, you bow down to him. In other words, when things are going well, you have to give him the credit. You have to bow down, even though he's really not worthy of it. But he's got he's holding the position. Tala mai b'tzirusim yachve. 1 second. You're calling him Yosef a Tala, a fox? Is he a fox? Yeah, a fox is he worse than his brothers? Well, it's not like he's a fox. He's one of the brothers at least. Eliyitmar hachi yitmar. It was said on the wrong pasuk. This statement was supposed to be said by Yishtachu Yisrael al Rosh Hamita, that Yaakov bows to Yosef. Now, Yaakov is the father. Amar Binyamin Bar Yafas, Amar Blessed Talib bin Nasagin. The father should be bowing to the son. The father's teaching us, Yaakov is teaching us that, but you have to give him the credit there when he has his position. You can bow down to him. A fox in its time, you bow down to him. Yeah. There's a bit of a contradiction in the Rashis over there. In the beginning of Vayechi, it says, Vayishtachu Yisrael al Rosh Hamita. It says, Talib bin Nasagadlai, a foxy man. And then it says, Mikan, there's another Rashi later on that Yaakov bows down. Mikan shecholkan covered the malchus. It's a contradiction. And well, maybe it's not a contradiction, but one makes it sound like he's absolutely deserving, and one makes it sound like just put on the show,
Reminds me of the English saying.
No, no.
Every dog has
Retired.
its day,
Retired.
but the dog without a tail has its weekend.
Okay.
What? I don't know. We got new material. Different material.
Was this from
We're going
school?
to Catskills in 2 weeks, and this is what we got.
Okay.
2 weeks, and this is what we got.
Okay. Vayinachem Maisam, Vayedaber Alibam. Where was this pasuk says? He consoles them. He speaks to their heart. He's telling them that they shouldn't be afraid. Amar Binyamin Bar Yefes, Amar Belazar Malamid, Shamalem Dvarim Shemiskablam Alalev. He tells them things that are acceptable, that are like rational. 10 candles couldn't put out 1 candle. How is 1 candle going to put out 10? This is Yosef telling his brothers. You don't have to worry. We go back to the Megillah now. The Jewish people had light, happiness, rejoicing, and honor. Rav Yehuda says, what it says light, what it's referring to, Zutaira. They had the Torah, which means that originally they weren't allowed to study Torah. Oh, isn't that interesting? So when Haman showed up, it was actually against the rules. It says the Torah is the light. Simcha, when they had happiness, Zayamtiv. That's the holiday. Why? Because they now have a new holiday. Rejoice on the holiday. Sasain, when it says they had rejoicing, Zumila. I rejoice on your words, on your command. Why? Rashi says, because by the bris it says Vayemer Hashem al Avram. It doesn't say Vayedaber Hashem. We see that David also rejoiced when he was in the bathhouse. He saw that he didn't have any mitzvahs. He wasn't wearing his tzitzis and tefillin. So, and there's no mezuzah on the door of the bathhouse. So he says, but he rejoiced over that he still had a bris. V'yikar elu tefillin, honor is tefillin. The nations of the world will see that the name of God is called upon you, and they will fear you. B'tanya Rabbi Lezer Hagadol Aimer, Rabbi Lezer Hagadol, that's referring to Rabbi Lezer ben Horkenes. He says, elu tefillin shabaraish, that's referring to the head tefillin. That's the honor. It says, Veis Parshandasa, V'gaimer Aseres b'nei Haman. These are the list of the sons of Haman, the 10 sons of Haman. Amar Rav Ada de Min Yafu. Rav Ada from Yafu says, Aseres b'nei Haman ve'aseres tzarech l'memrina b'neshima achas. All 10 sons of Haman plus the word Aseres have to be said in one breath. My time, what's the reason? Kula bahadi adadi nafkanish masayo. They all died at the same moment. Maybe there was like a chair when they hung them. They pulled away the ladder. Something. They all died at the same moment. I don't know. Amar Rabbi Yechanan. One second. Now we're going to see in a moment. Rabbi Yechanan says, "Vav devayazasa tzarech lemitche bezakifa k'mordaya de lavris." The vav of Vayazasa, which is the last name of the sons of Haman, that has to be a large. You have to make it stand tall or stretch it like an oar of a ship. You make it go down like an oar of a ship, which is probably very long. My time, what's the reason? Kula b'chad zechifa is the kifu, because they were all hung on one pole. I thought at least in the pictures, I saw pictures hanging like, like Nuremberg.
Five on one side, but
A fish,
No, yeah, like
branches.
Tree, like branches on the
five,
tree.
yeah. They were all on one string.
Right. Amar Rav Chanina bar Papa, Darash Rab Shila Ish Kfar Tamarta. We had him before today.
A maple.
Reb Shila ish kvar Martha. Kol hashiris kula nichtava yisariach al gabi leveino al gabi ariach. The way that in the Torah, in the scroll, the way it's written is that you have a word on this line, a word at the end of the line, and then in the next one you have in the bottom
Like
you have
Yashir.
as Yasha is written like that. You have one word, one like words in the center, and then it goes on the edges and then in the center. So this is the way you lay bricks, is you put one here and then on the top you put one in the center. So it's like the way you do bricks. Now the way it's put is ariach is a half a brick, al gabi levena on top of a whole brick. So it's half bricks, whole brick, half brick. You know, it's because it's two. That's the way it would be. Now, however, chutz mishir zu malchei Canaan, except for this shira of which is the sons of Haman and the kings of Canaan, were not done like this. Shariach al gabi ariach, levena al gabi levena. This is interesting because the white is on white. Levena, the brick is on the brick, So it's just two lines instead of being
It's like
like a checkerboard. My timer, what's the reason? They shouldn't be able to get up from the fall. That's why you do it just like a pole, so it falls down. It's not supported. Let's leave it over here. Stop right there. Are you going away now?
Thank you.
Good day.